Hiya. So today we're going to look at I Want to Be Yours by John Cooper Clarke. So this is on page 17. He's a contemporary poet, so more of a modern day poet, and you can tell this from the publication date on the contents page. Okay, then, following the same process as normal, create a mind map or bullet pointed list of any connotations or associations linking to the poem's title, and use questions to help guide your thinking. So pause this video now to complete this task. So you might have noticed I is a pronoun, but it's also in lowercase, which is unusual. It's not grammatically correct. So what might this say about the speaker or the poet? Is the speaker and the poet the same? Could this be linked to their confidence or insecurity? You might have noticed that wanna is slang. This is not grammatically correct. Want to is the correct way. Same way as you write gonna in some of your essays. Not grammatically correct. What might this suggest about the speaker and the poet? And be yours, is there an element of ownership here, or possession, or control? What kind of relationship is this? Probably more romantic or loving, but the idea of belonging to somebody is being presented here. Okay, so normally I get you to read the poem and write a brief summary of what you believe it's about, but I've added this link into the description, and it's actually John Cooper Clarke reading the poem aloud. He likes to perform his poems, and you'll quite enjoy this, so I suggest you pause the video and watch him perform his own poem and then write a summary of what you believe the poem to be about. This time round, I've given you a collection of images that are related to, or that he compares or relates to love in some way throughout the poem. So use the images, use the poem, and see if it changes the meaning at all. Okay, so what is it all about? It's an honest and humorous poem, and John Cooper Clarke is comparing love to domestic and the mundane, sorry. Linking it to vacuum cleaners or coffee pots. It comes away from like grand expressions of love, so it may be more realistic, and it should be heard rather than read, because he liked to perform the spoken word. So pause this video and make any notes on that, but I'd also like you to have a quick think about this question. Which type of love do you think has a better chance of lasting? Romeo and Juliet's love, which we've studied in Shakespeare, or John Cooper Clarke's love within this poem, and why? Okay, some contextual information here. Some of it I mentioned in the previous slide. You've also got the fact that this poem has been adapted and made into a song by the Arctic Monkeys, and the link is in the description for you as well if you'd like to listen to that. So write down the contextual information that you think is relevant. Pause the video and complete this task. Okay, diving straight into the analysis here. I'm not gonna give you as much help as I normally do, because we've already built a lot of your independence looking at structure and imagery, but there will be a website to check your ideas on later. So what inference can you make when exploring this poem? So think about language and structure. I am going to give you some additional questions to help you out, but I'm not going to go through it in the detail that I have with other poems, because I think you'll be able to understand this poem quite well. So things to think about language-wise are at the top in purple. Some ideas to focus on with structure down the bottom in blue, and how the structure and language link here as well within one of the questions. So thinking about how poets use many different techniques, all interlinking and all interweaving, that you can talk about. So pause this video and complete this task of annotating your poem using the questions to guide you. If you don't want to use these questions, absolutely fine. If you want to go and look at any of the other words, maybe look up the rhyme scheme, that would be absolutely fantastic. So pause this video and complete this task. Okay, as always, I'm giving you a link in the description to take you to another website so you can go through some of the ideas in the poem, but I cannot stress how important it is that you try it first by yourself so you get an understanding of the poem, a personal understanding, and you're practicing the skills ready for unseen poetry as well, which is a question within your GCSEs. Comparison, we're starting to bring in the comparative element. So if you were to compare certain elements of this poem to poems already explored, which poems would you choose? And I've picked the topics of adoration, or the focuses of adoration and control. So pause the video now, think back to the other ones you've already looked at. What would you compare it to? Okay, so looking at adoration, looking up to somebody, I would probably think the first one that comes to mind is maybe Sonnet 43. But then that would be very interesting to compare with this poem, because Sonnet 43 talks about the soul and the breadth and the height and spiritual elements, whereas this poem talks about vacuum cleaners and coffee pots and raincoats and cars. So that would be a really interesting poem to compare to. And the other focus, control, the best poem we've looked at really to link to compare with is Le Belle Dame Sans Merci, because there's an element of control with the knight and the lady and some of the language used with the lady. I'm really pushing you here talking about these particular themes, but you need to start trying to think more deeply. So have a little look at control, maybe reread Le Belle Dame Sans Merci and see if you can spot any elements of control in it, and then go through this poem and look at the elements of control, where the poet is almost putting himself out of control and the object of his desire of love in control. He is making himself less with the lowercase I and asking to be hers, her possession. Final thought. What is the poet trying to say, in your opinion? So email me your response, and I look forward to hearing from you.